So let's talk a little bit about woodwind registers. A register is used to describe kind of a range of notes within the entire note range of the instrument. A lot of times people consider most woodwind instruments to have 3 different registers. There's kind of a low register, a medium register, and a high register. Now, for the most part, the medium or middle register is where the instrument is going to be its most comfortable. It's easiest for the player to control the pitch and the dynamics. The high register tends to be louder for most of the instruments, and the lower register tends to be softer for most of the instruments, although that's not true for all of the instruments. And the instruments have kind of a different color quality. Brass has kind of a color shift where it kind of sounds a little bit more dull when they're playing at their lower end of their register, and then when they're playing at the higher end of the register, it sounds a good bit brighter, but there's more color variations in the woodwinds. So let's go over a few characteristics for each individual woodwind instrument in their different registers. Now, this little chart here that I've made represents the sounding range of each one of these instruments. Not necessarily where they are written, because some of these are transposing instruments. For example, the first instrument that we'll look at here, the piccolo in C, sounds an octave higher than it's written. And so instead of showing you the range where you'd find it on the staff, I've showed you the sounding range where it'll correspond with your MIDI keyboard. And I'm playing all these back at about a mezzo forte dynamic, so you can get an idea. In general, we could characterize these different registers like this. The lower register between D7 and C8. It's kind of darker, it's softer, it's kind of got a mysterious sound. The middle register between D5 and D6 is more full and sweet and bright sounding. And then the upper register between D6 and D7 is very penetrating. It's very shrieky, very shrilly. This is the range where the projection is very loud. It'll cut over the entire orchestra. Next, let's talk about the flute in C. We have the lower register between B3 and B4. The lowest note in this library is actually C4. Because as you get kind of to the extreme of the ranges on these instruments, even though maybe a B3 is possible, it may not be the best sounding note. They don't have that sampled here. So we have the lower range here, which is very dark and soft and kind of cold. Then we have the middle register between C5 and C6. And this is a little bit thinner, but it's very sweet and warm sounding. Then we have the upper register between C6 and C7, which is very high, very bright, very similar to the piccolo. This has a lot of projection. It's very penetrating. Then we have the oboe in C. The lower range, as you can see here, is kind of short. So we have it between B flat 3 and E4. This is very dark and thick sounding. We have the middle register between E4 and G5, and this is very warm and sweet sounding. It's really the most comfortable register. And then we have the high register between G5 and F6. In general, the higher register, unlike the flute and the piccolo, is a little bit more pinched and a little bit quieter here, as opposed to the lower register. It's a lot thicker sounding down there. We'll skip over the English horn and check out the B-flat clarinet. And so the B-flat clarinet is going to sound in the range of about D3 to about A5. Lower register is very full and very lush and thick sounding. Then we have the middle register, which is quite small. That's in this range right here. And we have the upper register, which is very clear and bright, and it has the loudest projection on the clarinet. The library, you can see the range typically is thought of as the higher sounding range around A5. But some players can play higher than that, so we actually have some more notes at our disposal here. And then finally, we'll check out the bassoon. Its lower register is very full sounding and used a lot for bass lines. Then we have the middle register between B2 and C4. This is thinner than the lower register. A good bit thinner than down there where it's very rich sounding. And then we have the high register between D4 and D5, which is more strained sounding. So that gives you kind of a generalization of the different registers of these instruments. And hopefully that'll give you a little insight into how you can use them in writing and combining with other instruments. In the example that we're going to look at coming up next here, we are going to check out how these instruments kind of work with each other in the different registers and how moving lines around and transposing them can cause a very different color shift. So let's check that out.